Hey y'all, it's Alma with the Cat's Pajamas, and today I'd like to delve a little bit more into editing and personalizing your Digi stamps using Silhouette Studio. Silhouette Studio Basic is a free program from Silhouette America that can do a lot of amazing things, and one of those things is editing and personalizing your digital stamps. Silhouette Studio Basic also allows you to import PNG files, which is what the Cat's Pajamas saves our digital files as. Pretty handy. Now to make it even easier, go to Edit, Preferences, and set your import to auto-trace your PNG files. That makes it so easy, and you don't even have to think about it. Once you do that, you can open your PNG file. I'm opening the Easter gnome from our favorite Peep Digi stamp set. One of the neat things about our Digi stamps is that we make them so the inside of the stamp is solid and the outside is transparent. You can see this if you go to your page setup and make the transparency of the media higher. Now notice that red line around the image? That means that it's auto-traced. Now suppose you want to separate the chick and the gnome. Well, that's pretty easy to do. On the left toolbar at the bottom is your knife tool. By clicking and dragging the tool, you can separate one image into two or more separate images. Then it's just a matter of right-clicking and deleting the part you don't want. You're not hurting the original Digi unless you have the business edition and save over it as a PNG file. So don't do that. And we want to get rid of the shoe that he's holding. Now let's take a closer look. For this bit of surgery, let's go back to the knife tool. If you click on the knife tool and you go to the upper left, you have a couple of options that you can do using the knife tool. Right now, we'll go to the third option, which is a pull-down menu of how the knife can cut. The basic edition gives you the option of 4 different ways of cutting. The straight cut only cuts straight, with no corners or curves, just straight. The polygon tool lets you draw a straight line, and when you click, it sets down a node, and then you can go on drawing and clicking. It stays active until you close the polygon by clicking on the first node that you put down. Now the next tool, the curve tool, is like a polygon tool, but it sets down nodes with handles that you can use to really define a shape. In order for it to activate, you must close the shape by clicking on the first node, just like the polygon tool. And the last cut is the freehand cut, and it works like a craft knife in your own hand. You can cut any shape while the mouse button is held down and you don't have to close the shape. So to trim off the shoe, I'm going to use the freehand tool. I'm going to zoom in really tight, and I'll start drawing around the wing as best as possible. And I'll do this by clicking and dragging my mouse. Remove the excess. To edit the nodes, click the point editor on the left toolbar. It's the thing that looks like a mustache underneath the arrow. Make sure you have the red line selected when you do this. Use your mouse to adjust the position of the nodes using your mouse by clicking and dragging. And you can adjust the curves using the handles sticking out of the nodes. The outline that you're editing is basically creating a mask or a hole or window for the Digi stamp to peek out of. That's the easiest way for me to describe it. You're actually not deleting anything, but rather you're covering up what you don't want. See, when I pull the mask opening larger, you can see the rest of the Digi. It's still there. Now I think that looks pretty good, and when I preview how it looks when it prints, it just shows the chick. Now let's work on the gnome. To bring the gnome into the same work area, go to File and Merge and select the Easter gnome. Now see, because you haven't saved over him, the image is still intact. So let's cut off the chick and fix up his shoe. Get a little closer and use the knife tool to cut off the chick. Now select the Edit Points tool from the left toolbar and right-click to bring up the Edit Nodes tool. I'm going to delete the excess nodes. Then I'll use one of the handles of the remaining nodes to refine the shape to what I want. If you're not used to double clicking, you can go to the toolbar at the top left of the screen or in the panel that pops up to the right. I can use the circle tool filled with white to cover up the wing on the shoe. And that means I need to fill in the outline of the shoe. So I'll just duplicate the oval, I'll move the top oval off, and I'll fill the remaining oval with black and edit with the node tool just to make it perfect. And I'll cover back up the part of the black oval that's not the outline with the white oval. Now I'm sure that there are different ways to do this, but it's easy for me just to cover things up when creating things for print. Now if you preview it, by clicking print, you can see that the gnome is perfect. Remember, this is only for print, it's not for cutting. It's probably a good idea to save here to your hard drive as chick with gnome or something other than the actual name of the original file. Now that the gnome and the chick are separated, I can size them for a 5x7 card by opening a rectangle and entering in the dimensions for the card at the top. I've also opened Page Setup, the top button on the right, and selected the third button and turned my registration marks on. You can see them at the top and at the bottom left. You only need the registration marks if you have a Silhouette machine and plan to do print and cut. I plan on having a lot of chicks to be all over this gnome facing different directions, so by going to the Replicate panel on the right, it looks like an atom. You can create mirror shapes and duplicates. So while I'm here, I'm going to fill the whole page with chicks and gnomes, taking care to keep within the registration marks. I'll probably move the chick at the upper right later to be safe. Now, print your image. It's also probably a good idea to save your image. If you have a Silhouette machine, you're ready for cutting. So let's create the cutting file for this creation. Go to the Send area, and you can see the outline of the ovals that we used to cover up the soles of the gnome's feet. So let's go back to the file and remove them. Since we're creating just the cutting file, save it and add the word cutting in the file name. That way you know that that cutting file goes with the creation that you just made. Then you can load your printed paper and cut. Now if you want to make the gnome and chick one image, you can do that too. And this is the beauty of our Digi stamps. Because they're filled in with white, they block out whatever is underneath it. So just duplicate the chicks using the replicate panel and place them where you want them on the gnome. You can rotate the position of the chick by grabbing the green dot at the top of the selection and dragging it to where you want. Or if you want to adjust the size of the chick, you can do that too. If you want to bring an item forward, go to the top bar to the area with the overlapping squares and click the Bring in Front button. You can hover over these buttons and it will tell you what exactly it does. There's also a Bring to Back button. I'll just keep adding and resizing and rotating the chicks until I'm happy. Now once you're satisfied, go to Print to see a preview. If it's to your liking, print it. And don't forget to save your new creation with a new name. If you have a silhouette machine and you want to cut it, here's how you do it. If you go to the send area, you can see all the overlapping cut lines. Let's fix that. Go back to the design area. On the right side, click on the icon that looks like a rectangle and circle. You can also right-click. Here you can select shapes and weld them, and that's exactly what I'll do with the gnome and chicks. And once you do this, you'll see the chicks disappear. And that's okay. The cutting shapes are being added to each other. Remember, the Digi never went away. You were just making a window to see it. And right now, we're making the hole to see the creation that you just made. I can weld the shoe covering or delete it. Now if you go to the send area, you can see the area that will be cut outlined in red. And it looks like our printed creation. Once you load your printed creation into the machine, it'll cut along the red line. Now if you're one of those peeps that like a border around your image, we can do that too. Go back to the design area and select the icon on the right that looks like an outlined star. That's your offset. Choose offset and the distance you want your offset to be from your image. And if you want the corners to be sharp or round, you can see it grow around the original image. And once you get it where you want, select Apply. By going to the send area, you can see the machine wants to cut both lines, but we want a border around the Digi. So go back to the design and move the original off the mat. You can see the outline shape and that there are little bits inside it. And you can see that they're part of the outline. Now if you want those, you can keep them. I don't, so I'll right-click and select Release Compound Path. That releases the inside shapes from the outline. You see the little squares around them. And now I can delete those little shapes. Now you can see that will only cut the border. Don't forget to save your cutting file for your creation. And I hope this helps. I hope you give editing and personalizing your Digis a try. If you want to see more videos, just let me know in the comments what you want to see. And have a great day.